On behalf of the American Academy of Neurology and in collaboration with Neurology Today, it gives me great pleasure to introduce my colleague and old friend, Dr. Gordon Smith. Dr. Smith is the chair of the American Academy of Neurology Education Committee, so we'll be talking all about education today and the amazing work that the AAN has been doing, that Neurology Today has been doing also, and really hopefully how this may impact the educational processes that we go about in the future, for the positive. And also, Dr. Smith is, of course, is a professor and chair of the Department of Neurology at Virginia Commonwealth University. Been there for a couple of years now, at least, 2 years or so now?
Yes, it has, just over 2 years.
Time flies. And you rode your bike all the way from Utah to Virginia. Was that the story?
I wish I could have. No, they didn't allow me to do it. I had to actually ship my bike, so disappointing, but...
Gotcha. So, Gordon, thanks so much. We're doing these videos, and I guess one thing, I have a lot of questions for you, but one question is, when it comes to education, the American Academy of Neurology has kind of been, the brand is so strong, and the educational efforts and the pursuits and the products that we've put out are so strong, well-developed, well-structured, reviewed by all these people, done all this stuff. And in the age of COVID-19, we've had to kind of change everything, like kind of flip everything on its head. We've been pushing out these NeuroBytes videos. Usually, when we first started doing these through NeuroLearn, it would take like months and months, even a year to do one CME course. Now we can pump out a NeuroByte, a 3 to 5 minute educational piece in like a week or two. We've been doing these videos. We've had about 15 videos so far. Great responses. Just give me your perspective a little bit on what the AAN's been up to with education and how we've had to be nimble and flexible in the age of a rapid news cycle with COVID-19.
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me, Richard. I've really enjoyed watching your other interviews, and it's a great pleasure to be able to talk to you today. I think it's interesting. I was just talking to a potential faculty candidate on the phone before talking to you now, and we were commenting to one another on the extent to which things that we've been wailing away at for months or years, think virtual visits and telehealth, that we solved in days. So, we went to, I think, 90% televisits here, as I'm sure you did and others, within the space of 3 days. And I think the Academy actually thrives in that environment. If you think back to the annual meeting in Vancouver, right, when we had to totally redesign the meeting, the way we did it was, and you were part of this, of course, was to basically reimagine the meeting. What could we be? And I think the way we're approaching this from an educational perspective at the Academy, I think, is twofold. One is, what are the immediate needs that people have right now? We can talk a bit about how we're approaching that, and you commented on NeuroBytes as a really great platform to provide information on how do you do a neurologic exam with telemedicine, which many of us didn't know before we saw that NeuroByte. But I think the other is we're now beginning, and I think we have the bandwidth now to think creatively about what the world looks like in a post-COVID era. What does that mean in terms of planning our live conferences or e-learning, while simultaneously we're really supporting key learning communities and how they navigate these difficult times?
Well, that's great. That's a great overview. And for example, telemedicine. I'm getting better at telemedicine. Why? Well, I watched that. There was actually a webinar that was put up. I watched it on YouTube. It was a 56-minute, I think, webinar. I don't think I've watched a 56-minute webinar like from stem to stern in years, like if ever. I literally hung on every word because I'm trying to listen. And then the NeuroByte, the 3-minute overview about telemedicine and how to do a neuro exam. The Academy has just done, I think, really a terrific job at getting these educational resources out there quickly. And not only is it quick, but sometimes you compromise effectiveness when you have to get something out quickly. I don't think we compromised effectiveness in that sense. So kudos to the Education Committee, kudos to the AAN for being so flexible. The other part, with the American Academy of Neurology meeting being canceled, kind of traumatic next week, we're all supposed to be hanging out in Toronto and would have been a lot, not only fun, but also educational. Tell me a little bit about the ABPN, so the American Board of Psychiatry and Neurology, gave us a grant to basically make last year's meeting available to all members for free. And so basically, people can buy the meeting usually, and that's the annual meeting on demand. I've bought it maybe once or twice, just to, I don't know, I think I used it for like our residents one year, and, I always go to the meeting. But tell me a little bit about that, how that all came about, the benefits. And I heard thousands, and I don't know if I'm going to quote the exact number, but several thousand American Academy of Neurology members, like more than 10% or more probably of our members, have already not just looked at it, but actually registered for annual meeting on demand. That's amazing. Tell me a little bit about that and how that came about.
Boy, there's a lot to unpack and think about there, Richard. And so I think, this is one of the great things about our Academy. There were two things, I think, happening simultaneously. One, as you know, the Academy communicates regularly with the ABPN to try to ensure that our members are well represented and that there's an opportunity for partnership. And the ABPN has been interested in providing grant funding for certain things. So that's in the background. The idea behind our strategy with the annual meeting on demand actually came from a phone call, I think. I mean, this was where I first heard it. There were, I think it was Joe Servin, myself, our key staff, thinking about how are we going to solve really student and resident education. We sent all our students home, sent all our residents home, and we came up with the idea as a team, what if we could take last year's annual meeting on demand and the meeting self-assessment and rapidly provide it to clerkship directors and program directors. There was already work going on at the subcommittee level with our graduate and undergraduate medical education subcommittees to design kind of draft curricula that a clerkship director or program director might use. So why not provide this and push it out ahead of that? And very rapidly, that sounds easy. It's actually really complicated for a whole host of reasons, right? But what happened was our Academy staff worked tirelessly, including late nights and over weekends, to work with the ABPN on the grant to provide this for free to all Academy members and diplomates of the ABPN, while finishing these sort of draft, or not really draft, but these were just sort of sample kind of tracks or curricula that one could use. And this all took place over, I would say, 10 days or so. I mean, I could be off. It was actually quite remarkable, with the idea we're going to push this out to everyone, and then specifically push it out to educators who can then use it to address an urgent need that they had at that given time. And I think what's really interesting about this, Richard, it's a great product, and there's been I think a dedicated group of people who buy it every year, and that's how they interact with the annual meeting. But I'm really interested to see how people use this and use it as a learning experience, or how can we make this product even better. But I think it's going to inform us about how people want to learn, and how we can improve it over next year. But yeah, I think this is one of the reasons to be involved with the Academy. The distance between a creative idea and a solution that impacts thousands of people and all the patients they serve it can be as brief as a couple of weeks. It's a remarkable story, I think. Right.
Yeah, and the feedback has been great. From clerkship directors, program directors, of course, but just for members, like we value our AAN membership, but we really value when the AAN steps up and does something that's just like I would have never thought that would ever happen. Maybe the AAN would try to use it as an opportunity to make extra money and all that. Well, no, we put all the money stuff aside, and we said, you know what, what's our mission? To provide value to our members. And somebody stepped up. I guess it was that phone call that started it all. And, I'm appreciative of the ABPN for paying for it. I mean, that's really helpful.
Yes, I agree. I think it's been, this is a consequence, I think, a positive consequence of having a close line of communication between the organizations. We just had, earlier this week, every year we have a joint leadership meeting between Academy leadership and the ABPN. And Dr. Stevens led us through with Dr. Faulkner that meeting earlier this week, and it was great. I think it's our continued contact that really allows these sorts of partnerships to thrive.
Mm. That's great. So, I'm the chair of the eLearning committee, and I took on this role a couple of years ago. First, he passed the baton. Dr. Joe Softy passed it to me, and then before that, some guy named Dr. Gordon Smith. Weren't you the founding chair of the committee? Is that right? Or
It was Peter Bergathon was
wow,
before me, and
that's right.
I think it was probably Peter.
Peter. Okay.
Yeah, he defined it.
Oh, giant, big, chasmatically sized shoes to fill. So somehow you filled the shoes, and that's no understatement for those people that know Dr. Bergathon. He taught me a lot. The ADFM he taught me all sorts of different things. But anyway, sat through lots of great educational, pedagogical, actually would be the better word, lectures from Peter. But so we started off as the Distance Learning Committee, and then changed the name, rebranded to the eLearning Subcommittee. And COVID-19 has brought eLearning to the absolute forefront of education across every medical subspecialty. It's, we used to be this niche little thing. I think we used to call ourselves the think tank. We would come up with these big ideas and big, hairy, audacious goals, the bags or whatever we would call them. And then 2 years later, NeuroBytes, bam, then 3 years later, we have, soon, question of the day is coming out. That's going to be really fun. I don't know if that's been officially announced yet, so I should probably shut my mouth, but hopefully that's coming soon. There's all these fun things that come out of these brainstorming sessions. And I guess what really has happened with the eLearning subcommittee is we've really been able to push out content. I want to talk to you about these videos. We've done about 12 to 15 or so, and every week we're putting out 3 or 4 at least. Every week the goal has been to try to interview one non-neurologist. So we started off with Sanjay Gupta. He was very generous with his time. It was a great video, got almost 10,000 views, which is a lot for 36,000 members. We did one with Maria Shriver this week. And then mostly other neurologists, child neurologists from different diverse backgrounds, and talking about all sorts of things. What do you think about this series? It kind of came up again out of a phone call. How can we pump out content quickly? And I said, I don't know, I'll interview some people and we'll try it out. How do you think things like this will stick? Will this, remain in the fabric of our AAN educational portfolio? Or how do you think maybe the AAN educational offerings will be changed permanently because of COVID-19?
Well, I just want to say, I think Anderson Cooper, move over. Here comes Richard Isaacson, man. You're a natural at this. I love watching them. You're really good. You're very, very talented at this. I think they will, but what's fascinating about this is a lot of these ideas you came up with years ago. So for instance, we may talk about this in a moment. We're working on a collaboration now with educators both in the United States and Italy, and you may or may not remember the National Noon Conference idea or the question of the day idea. Or if we think about conversations you, I, and Joe had years ago about what neurology today could look like, and what Joe has done with it is nothing short of remarkable. It's fantastic. These are all ideas in the same way that we've all tried to get virtual visit platforms up off the ground and struggled a little bit. I think if there is a silver lining in this catastrophe, it's that we're now using these ideas and they've got legs, and I think people now see what your vision was surrounding these sort of videos and interactions. So I think this is going to be a durable benefit for our members in our community. And not only this, NeuroBytes, question of the day. I gave grand rounds at the University of Michigan, today's Friday, 2 days ago on Zoom. And, they were pretty desperate, so I guess I had to do it. And there were 90 people almost for an hour. And what was cool about it is I would have told you a month ago Zoom grand rounds would be dreadful. People were chatting questions, and I was able to see them and respond. And you can kind of see I think part of it is you were visionary in this years ago. You were already thinking about this, and the rest of us weren't getting it. Now I think we get it across all the different ideas you talked about. So yeah, this is going to stick, and great future in media for you, Richard.
That NeuroBytes idea with 3 to 5 minute educational snippets. Man, did I get tomatoes thrown at me for that? I remember this. Oh no, come on, you can't learn anything in 3 to 5 minutes. And like that's kind of the way our world is now. If 3 minutes may be too long, so we're learning a lot, and I'm glad to hear that. I think the Academy is standing behind innovative ways, and if these videos didn't do well or don't do well, we'll stop doing them.
Something different. Yeah.
Yep, exactly, and we'll just keep innovating. It's interesting. These videos, takes 15-20 minutes of our time. It's just not trivial, but it's not that much time. But compared to the past, I feel like whatever it takes, if they're Pells's theories of online learning, I'm mangling his three theories, but you need to have interactivity and the conversational style. People aren't dragging and dropping, and really, we can't be 100% sure people are paying attention throughout the whole thing. That's the one issue with videos, rather than some of the webinar-based stuff that we've played with. But we do the best we can in difficult times.
I think one maybe lesson about this, or early indicator of this, has been the success of the podcast. And another product that, just like NeuroBytes, I think people took a little while to really understand the vision behind, is the Neurology Minute. For people who haven't checked that out, definitely check that out. That's awesome. And this was really the vision of Ted Burns and Stacy Clardy. And we've had conversations with them about how can we use sort of what's become an extremely popular part of the journal, and really I think it's education, in terms of the podcast and the minute, to further our larger education goals, particularly given that we're all learning at home, or wherever we happen to be, sheltering in place.
Yeah. Can we talk about question of the day? Is that public knowledge, or?
It is now.
Okay, great. Well, sorry, I'm going to get yelled at, but I feel like it's coming out in a couple of weeks. I think it may have been a surprise.
It's going to come out end of the month. Yeah.
End of the month. Okay. So I guess I just let the cat out of the bag. Apologize. So Zach London, first of all, he gets a gold star, University of Michigan. Michigan had a tough time. Thanks for doing the grand round. 90 people in a grand rounds. That's awesome. Sometimes we'd have 20 or 30 and get excited. That's just awesome. Tell us about question of the day. The Academy really had to, again, be nimble, building apps and doing, I don't say crazy ideas, but innovative ideas like that. Tell us a little bit about it. I can talk about it too, I guess, but tell us a little bit about question of the day and how it came about.
Well, this is an idea, again, that's been around for a long time. And you may recall that there was an earlier iteration of this on the old website that I actually loved. I think I was one of 5 people in America that loved it. I always would go to the website and look at it. And, we see this in other areas. The New England Journal as a successful one. So the idea has been out there that one could create this sort of model where you push out a kind of a question of the day or an image or something, but then you build a context around it. So this lends itself to sort of social media distribution, gamification, leaderboards, things like this, engagement. And I think one of the things we've clearly learned and over really years, but certainly in the last few weeks, is that micro-learning is really important. We're all busy running from Zoom to Zoom, planning the next COVID thing we're doing. And so the ability to engage in a 3-minute video or a even briefer, question of the day is really powerful. And so you can speak to more of the kind of the elements around it. But I'm very excited about this. I've been excited about it for years, and I'm so pleased to see it coming to fruition later this month. And I think it's going to be not only great micro-learning, but I think it's going to be engagement for our students. We're busy trying to convince students that neurology is a really great field to go into, and I think these sorts of things feed into that. And I frankly, I think it'll be fun, and that's nice to have as well.
Yeah, and so I just want to repeat two important things. Number one, you said micro-learning, and the concept of micro-learning, that you can learn something and retain it by spending 30 seconds on something. That's not traditional in I would say in lots of forms of education, especially a decade or 20 or 50 years ago, whatever it was. But it's 2020, man. Micro-learning with the distractions and social media and everything else, that micro-learning is important. And I don't think it's the answer for everything. You're not going to be able to learn the neurologic exam fully in microlearning, but we have different components. We have the microlearn, we have the NeuroByte, we have the longer CME programs, we have the annual meeting, we have boards prep courses. We have also AAN has all sorts of stuff. Neurology Today does something in their way, which is more longer article prose, that kind of thing. Videos, you talk Neurology Minute, podcasts. I mean, our portfolio of education is even compared to like 10 years ago, it's really modern. It's really
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this with our ABPN meeting on Tuesday. I had, every time we do these, and this is, I think, my 5th year doing it, I give an update. Well, here are the learning tools that we have as an academy to support our members and diplomates of the ABPN and their learning needs. And it keeps getting longer and longer. And I must have talked for half an hour. And the spectrum of things that the academy offers is breathtaking, to the point that I think we have to be mindful of how we organize it in a way that's visible and digestible. There's just so many different opportunities there.
Yep, totally agree. Well, Gordon, thanks so much. I think that was a really great overview. The Academy is trying everything we can. Again, what's our mission? Be valuable. Hopefully I'm not mangling this, but be of value to our members. Like
indispensable to our members.
Indispensable value.
To our members.
Indispensable. It's like a big word. I'm like a.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not that sophisticated.
I have it right here on my.
Oh, excellent. I got to get one of those pins or something. But Gordon, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And for people watching, if you want to learn about something else, well, we have an email set up. It's eLearning@AAN.com. Feel free to shoot us an email and with a suggestion of what you want covered. Honestly, I've been getting lots of great feedback. Gordon, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for all you're doing as chair of the Education Committee.
Richard, thank you for doing this. Thanks for your vision and leadership.
Of course, and hang in there, man. Being a chair of a neurology department in the middle of COVID-19 is not easy at all.
It's a team sport. Thanks for all you're doing, Richard.
Yep. Cool. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Yep.